Good morning. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, and it is day 7 of 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript, where I, your host, Angela, front-end developer from St. Paul, Minnesota, practices her JavaScript every single day for 30 days. I was thinking yesterday that my intros are a bit lengthy for somebody who streams as often as I do, so let's just get right to it, shall we? What is our task for today? Oops, wrong screen. Wrong screen. Day 7, filterable list. So what do we need to do today? Maybe I have an inkling, not even an idea, an inkling of an idea on how to do this, but I'm really not sure. So input driven filtering. So I'm going to say here the keyword is input, meaning the event input, which we did back on day 2 of the character count. Looping arrays and node lists. So if this is the input right here and we're searching for something in these list items, that makes me think that we are looping through the array. We are building an array out of those list items and looping through them. That's what I think this means. Looping arrays, node lists. Comparing normalized strings. What I think that means is that we take these things and we say to lowercase, and then trim, I think, is where you trim the white space off the end. Yes? We'll look, we'll check, we'll consult the documentation, but I think that's what that means. Hiding and showing items. Okay, nice extras. A no results message. I feel like if we can actually successfully search for things, if something isn't found, we could do a no results message. That to me feels like something we could do. Category tags. I don't know what that means. I don't know what category tags means. Clear search button. I feel like we could do a reset or a clear. I feel like I can handle that. So the MDN prep is array from, right here, filter, includes, and I've used filter and includes before, so I have an idea, again, inkling of an idea on how to use those. To lowercase, I know how to do that. Trim. Let's see what it says here. Oh, I think trim is just trimming any white space before or after the string. The trim method of string values removes white space from both ends of the string and returns a new string without modifying the original string. To return a new string with white space trimmed from just one end, use trim start or trim end. Okay, nice. That is actually straightforward, so I'm grateful for that. Array, we should probably start with array from. Yeah, we'll start with array from. So this is what we're working on today. Let me share. I'll share the site with you in the chat if you want to take a look at what I'm doing. So there's that. And Go Elmo is here. Malik Robinson is our mod in the chat. He's on a streak. I don't know if the streak is like a defined number of days or if it's literally just a streak. Like you just keep going until you can't go anymore. I'm not sure which it is, but Malik is on a self-proclaimed streak and I am glad for that, obviously. Anybody who actually wants to show up and hang out with me, obviously incredibly grateful for that. Yeah, and then before we get started, hey, if you're new here, welcome. I'm happy to have you. Do me a favor, like the video if you haven't already. Helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. Subscribe if you haven't already. The channel is growing. Yeah, and I'm just super excited at the growth and how we're doing on this channel. I don't know. It was like I spent years thinking about being on YouTube and I was too scared to do it. and now I'm doing it, and that's kind of cool. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy being here, and I'm happy that you're here with me. And Zokaville, hello. Hello, Angela. Just first time I'm learning JavaScript, so it's interesting to see someone coding live. Zora from Paris. So the name is Zora from Paris. Thank you for. YouTube used to have usernames. Or no, it's usernames and display names. And the chat used to be display names. Now it's usernames. And they just made my life so much harder. So. And Malik says, just a streak. I have no clue what number I am on. I think that you are very nearly. Well, if you found me in the, you told me that you found me in the spring last year and that you were a lurker for a long time before you entered the chat. And I know that I didn't start to talk to you in the chat until it was almost summertime, because I did take a break last spring. I was gone for about like 6 or 7 weeks, and I don't think that I saw you in the chat until after I came back from that break. So I think it'll be nearly a year in maybe May or June. I don't know. I'm guessing. But since and when I started thinking, when I felt like the chat got busy enough that I needed mods, Monique, who has also been here since. Monique has been here since just about the beginning, like literally since I had 100 subscribers. Same with Emilio. He's also been here since I literally had 100 subscribers. The Monique, Emilio, and Gogo Elmo, you were like my top 3 choices for mods on this channel. And that was obviously a great decision, because I couldn't ask for somebody better to have my back. So obviously happy to have you here. So, okay. Are we ready? I feel like I'm procrastinating because I don't know what to do. So here's the approach that we need to take. And I have to like remind myself of this too. I know this. I know that just because you don't know what to do doesn't mean you shouldn't get started. Literally just get started with the things that you know how to do. So what do we actually know how to do in order to get started? Well, first of all, here's our HTML. So let's go find our stuff. So here's our HTML. Right here, we have this section, and I'm going to add a class here called Filterable _list, because I need like a parent container. I need a root, and you'll see why here once we get into the JavaScript. Here's our form field where we have our input with a type of ID filter input, name filter input with placeholder. And then we've got this UL, unordered list, with an ID of tutorial list. And then each list item has a class of card item. So we would be building an array this way, right? So I think we have to get these first as an array. I don't know. So we're going to do it together. Okay, and here's our filterable list.js file. It's in our components folder. So I'm going to say function init filterable list. And then we have to initialize this. Okay. And then let's move this down here. Again, we need to set the root. I'm a Midwesterner, so I say things a little bit different. Const root equals document query selector filterable list, and then we're going to check to make sure if the root exists. If it doesn't, we'll return. So we're basically so now we're scoping everything inside of our JS file to the root element. So if this loads on a page where the filterable list doesn't exist, none of this runs. So it's just a way to do some scoping, vanilla JavaScript scoping, right? Okay, so let's start defining some of these things. So let's get our input. So this is the filter. I'm just going to call it input. Input equals root query selector, and the filter input is an ID. So we'll say filter input. And then let's get our tutorial list. So I'm going to say const list equals root query selector. And again, it's an ID, so it's the tutorial list. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and query selector all the card items. I don't know how I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that yet. So we'll say items equals root query selector all, and these are classes card underscore item. Okay. Now what? I don't know. Okay, and then we also have our empty state ID no results message. So should we just define that just for the heck of it? We'll just call it empty. Equals the root query selector empty state. Okay. So let's look at let's look at the array from documentation on MDN and see if we get an idea of what we should be doing here. So first, I want to also say this. I read a little bit of this before the stream started today, and I will say this. As good as MDN is, and as much as I want people to be reading documentation in order to learn, I really do think that sometimes it reads like stereo instructions. It is a little bit overly complex and a little bit overly technical when I think there could be more plain language used on MDN. So if you are new to JavaScript or you're just new to reading documentation and you have trouble understanding it, you're not the only one. I'm like 13 years in to my career as a front-end developer. I know how to read documentation, but I am new to many aspects of JavaScript, and it is not helpful for me when it is overly complex and technical. And I understand the inherent complexity of programming. I get it. It could still be, I still think there could be more plain language. So bear with me because I feel like I have to translate a lot of things. The array from static method creates a new shallow copied array instance from an iterable or array-like object. Overly complex, in my opinion, but let's see what the examples are. Okay, so a console log, we're going to array from the string foo. So the expected output would be array, literally the word array with brackets, and then each letter is an item in the array. Okay, array from 1, 2, 3. So this would be an array. And then this is an expression. Is this an expression? So array from 1, 2, 3. X is equal to or greater than x plus x, 2, 4, 6. So are each of these things x? Is that what that means? So x is greater than or equal to x plus x, which would be 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay. Is this a common pattern? Okay. So you're just getting an array from the items. So you must have to do that. So you don't, you must have to do that because you need to match up the letters in the search, in the input. Yeah, because what did we learn from the value of the text area input when we console logged it? We saw the individual letters being console logged. So you must have to get an array from each, you get an array from, so each of these things would be an item in the array as opposed to the list item themselves being array objects. Okay. Okay, I think that makes sense. Now filter. The filter method of array instances creates a shallow copy of a portion of a given array, filtered down to just the elements from the given array that pass the test implemented by the provided function. Okay? Array prototype filter. So here's an array of words. So words equals this array: spray, elite, exuberant, destruction, present. The result is words filter word. Okay, so this is like filter the words, and then you get the word, and then you get the count, which is 6. And then you log the result. The word length is greater than 6. Okay, so you're getting, this is not a method, but a property. So length is a property of word, and length counts the number of items in this, because this word is a string. Okay, we also learned that in the text area. Got it? So we're getting things greater than 6. Okay. And then we have includes. The includes method of array instances determines whether an array includes a certain value among its entries, returning true or false as appropriate. So we would want to get, okay, so what comes first, the filter or array from? So are we going to, I'm not sure, do we do both? Do I pick one? Okay, well, let's start with the input and set up the event listener first, so we can actually start getting the values, because then I think we filter it against the tutorial list. So let's start with that, right? So we'll do input, add event listener, input. Do we need to capture something there? I'm honestly not sure. Like if we're doing a target thing, we'll find out. Or if there's an event, probably. I don't know. Input, add event listener, and then I guess I just want to console log. The input or the target value, right? Make this a little bigger. No. Input. Why? You're in the wrong order. ID filter input. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Okay, I'm going to review. I just want to take a look at my text input. Where is it? Character count. So the text area yeah, it's the target value. So we're doing an event listener on the text area. Do I have to okay, so why am I not? The input works on inputs. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Input, add event listener, input. Why is nothing happening? Why is nothing happening here? What am I missing? Did I not link this file? Hang on. Module. Yes, I did not link the file. I did not link the file. Hang on. It's the filterable list. This is the most basic mistake that you can make. So, okay. Woo. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Now we're console logging. See? Okay. So now we're capturing our text. So we can actually... Okay, good. Got it. So what next? So now we're actually listening to the input. We're getting our text. We have defined text. Great. So now I think we want to make an array from the text, right? We want to make an array from the text and filter it against what's happening here. And then this would be like filter includes the array from value. That's what I think we're supposed to do. So I'm going to say text. I'm going to say text array from. Text equals array from. Wait a second. I'm going to say const text array equals array from text. And then what happens here? Going to be a lot of console logs today. I don't need this. Okay, so now we have our array. Why does this need to be an array though? I'm not sure. But we have an array from the things that are being typed in. Okay, so I think the next thing that we're supposed to do is filter our card items. That's what I think we're supposed to do. So I'm going to items, filter, item. Make sure I'm getting this right. And then it's going to be, so then what do I want to do with the item? Item includes. Item includes well, first of all, let's just because I can't visualize anything. I just want to see what the items are. Just show me the items. That's the other problem that I have. Like I don't know how to do something because I can't visualize what the result is. So filter is not a function. Okay, that actually helps. So items, filter. Filter is not a function. So clearly, so oh, I think we need to get, because if we, hang on, if we console log items, we're not getting strings. We're getting probably the entire node, right? The markup. Console log items. What are the items? Well, really, I just want to see the id. We don't have to wait for the event. Let's just do this. Show me the items. It's going to be like a node list. Yeah. So what we really need is we need the value. Yeah. So what we really need here is the value, the item value, right? So what's the item? Well, we've got items. Can I just do this? Dot value. Whoop. Gosh darn it. Hang on. Hit the wrong key. Can I just get the value of each item? Undefined. Yeah. Item. Items.filter is not a function. Hang on. Items.filter is not a function. Let me look at filter again. Words.filter, word. Don't tell me. Items.filter item. Okay, I'm going to pull this out of the Okay, let's do the good old fashioned. This is what we did before ChatGPT. We copied and pasted our console errors and Googled them. Just give me a general idea of why this would happen so I can fix it. This error occurs because the filter method is a prototype of the array object. When you see uncaught type error, let me make this a little bigger. Items filter is not a function. It means the variable items is not actually an array at the time the code is executed. At the time the code is executed. Well, the cards exist. Why wouldn't it be an array on page load if everything is here in the DOM? Card item. We could see the node list. So do you have to for each first? Okay, let's keep going. It's an object, not... Okay, so it's an object, not an array. If items is a standard object, like ID1 name test, it won't have a filter method. Fixed. Convert the object's values into an array using object values items filter. The value is null or undefined. If your data is still loading from an API, items might be undefined when the filter runs. It's not. It's a node list or HTML collection. That's what it is. Method, oh, Google, thank you. Bless your heart. Methods like query select or all return a node list, which looks like an array but doesn't always support filter. Fix. Oh, look, what? Look at right here. Array from. Oh my gosh. Fix. Convert it to a real array using the spread operator or array from items filter. What? Okay, that's what the array from is from. So it didn't make sense to me that we would need array from on the actual text input, but I just couldn't figure out for the life of me why we would be doing that. So, okay, so I'm going to cut. Oh, wow, this is so cool. Problem solving is the best. It's the actual best. Here, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so we need to create an array from the values in the node list. Like I got that far, right? That I knew that this query selector all created a node list and we needed the values. Okay. So array from items dot filter. Wow. Array from items dot filter. So are we going to see the values now? Says 0. Array from items dot filter item. Okay. Isn't it just value? Where's the text? Okay, so what do we have here? Button. Okay. Oh, it's the inner HTML or the inner text. It's not value. So, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. So what do we want? The text content probably, right? The text content. So we want the item text content. That makes sense. Look at guys, we're doing it. Okay, this is so cool. This is real this is the joy of problem solving that I love so much. Okay. Okay. So now we are getting the text from our items. Okay. Okay. Now, I think what we want to do now is we need to like I know that you use includes. I know that you use includes with filter. So that's how you like basically check against something, because I've done that before. But full disclosure, it's not code that I wrote from scratch. So I've worked on like I'm going to just digress for a moment here. When I worked at St. Thomas, we made like these filtering apps all the time because we just had so much data, right? We were a Salesforce organization and we just had like a gazillion APIs with data from Salesforce, and we were constantly like building filters and search and just all these things, just filter. And it was really cool and I liked it, but I didn't build very many of them from scratch. A lot of it was stuff that had already been built, and I kind of came in and took over and I refined a lot of it and I built new ones, but never anything from scratch. So I've seen filter and includes in like every app that we had at St. Thomas, but I never built it from scratch. And I'll be perfectly honest, and there's nothing wrong with this. Many times I was like, it works, I have to move on. I have other things to do. I can't sit here and like learn all the intricacies, the details, the minutia, right? And that is valid. But I'm also sitting here going, wow, all those years that I worked on that stuff and I did filtering and I did includes, but I never fully understood what was happening. So, okay, so there's a little story time. Yes, documentation for the win. Documentation for the win. Yeah, we're going to have to, I want to come back to this at some point, the maths. I want to come back to this at some point. So, but thank you, Zora. Appreciate that. Okay, so what's next? So I feel like we put the event listener. What comes first? Is it the event listener first and then we put this inside? Or do we start, so we have the text content. How do we compare it? Let's just take a peek at our Googs again here. Okay, I'm also going to, should we take a screenshot of this? I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I feel like this is something to be preserved. There we go. Do you see also what I mean about the Google AI and how good and precise it can be? It's really good. It's honestly so much better. The precision is so much better than just asking ChatGPT sometimes. I don't know how, it just gets the context so much better. So, okay, let's look at includes. Let's just look at includes. The includes method of array instances determines whether an array includes a certain value among its entries. Returning true or false is appropriate. So here's an array 1, 2, 3. Array includes 2, expected output true. Pets, cat, dog, bat. Pets includes cat, true. Okay, so it's a Boolean value. So if includes is part of the array and we just turned this into an array, array includes filter item I have to think about this, the order in which this happens. It probably happens as we're typing, right? So what happens if I just say, can I do this? Because this is really what I want. Can I just say like array items equals the array? And then can I do this? If I could just get this, this would be way easier. So I'm going to delete all of my console logs because so this is the only console log. Yeah. Array items. Array from items. Can't I just say that this equals this? Where do I add includes? Like, confused. Let's look at this. Let's keep looking at this. Maybe it'll help me figure it out. Okay, so includes the search index. Okay. Yeah, we're getting close. Yep, from the list. From the list. Let's see if there's some more examples here. 1, 2, 3 includes 2. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do this. I'm going to Google this. You are likely looking to complete a JavaScript statement that converts a collection, like a node list or an HTML collection, into an array and then filters it based on a condition. Here are the most common ways to finish that line of code. Array items equals array from items, filter item, item is active. Oh, right here. Filter by content. So array items equals array from items. Oh, I think maybe all we have to do is that. Is that all we have to do is say what the items are inside? That might be it. No, hang on. Item includes search term. Oh, okay. Item text content includes search term. Let's just copy this and see. But why doesn't this console log just show the list of things is what I'm wondering. What if I just want to literally Okay, I'm going to Google this. I'm going to Google this too. Guys, this is what we did in the olden days. We just Googled things and then we prayed that there was something on Stack Overflow. So, okay, so let's see it. The code you provided will likely log an empty array. This happens because your filter callback function uses curly braces, but does not have a return statement. Got it. You have to, okay, because I'm so used to the for each loop. I'm so used to the for each loop that doesn't have a return statement. So let's see. Look at that. Okay, but we're still getting like the node length. So, or would this be, let's keep reading. So I get why, okay, explicit return, keep the curly braces, but add the return keyword, return item text content. Jesus. This is still returning a node list. So can I do this? No. I'm just going to take this out temporarily. So does this? No, hang on here. So this is still giving me the full, excuse me, one moment. Monique Robinson is here, welcome. We are working on the filterable list. Yes, Stack Overflow was a great friend. It was scary, but it was a great friend, wasn't it? Okay, so what I'm not understanding is why it's not giving me the text content of the items. It's just giving me the node list. And it doesn't matter if it's with curly braces or without. It doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter. But let's keep going here. If item text content is an empty string, it is considered falsy and the item will be filtered out. If it contains any text, it is truthy and will be kept. So I'm going to expand my search. Not logging the text content. Okay, are you trying to get the text itself? Note that filter only decides which items to keep. It still returns the original element object. If your goal is to get a list of the actual text strings, you should use map instead. Okay, so this tells me that I don't really need to probably worry about this, that what I really need to do is get my includes in there. Yeah. I would prefer to use this is what I would prefer to use. So it looks like we would put includes right here. So we would include our search term. So I'm not going to worry about this. We know it returns an array. So here's our array item. So here's what I am figuring out next. I think that this goes inside the input add event listener, and that the includes is the text. That's what I think. And I don't think that I need to define this. I don't think I need to do this. I think that I need to take this and do this, and then the includes is the text that we're getting from the value. And I think the text is also, because we would presumably, everything should be 2 lowercase and everything should be trimmed, right? So can I do this? Text equals text 2 lowercase and trim. Is trim a method or a property? It's a method for a string. So is 2 lowercase. 2 lowercase trim. And then where are we putting this? We have to put it someplace, right? So then we are comparing it against the, okay, hang on. Yeah, so the items, I don't think we need, just gonna organize this a little bit. So we've got our input and we've got our items. When we type in the input, we are comparing what gets typed into the input against the items that exist. And then the list is the UL and the empty is the empty state. I'm not worried about those right now. So then where do we want to display that? So I feel like we would remove things that don't match and keep things that do match, right? So if you were typing things in, the things that don't match would disappear, right? So since I'm returning this, can I console log this? I think this has to go. I think this has to go before the return statement. So what am I going to see here? Am I going to see true and false? Is that what I'm going to see? So if I type in, yeah, type assignment to okay, so I did wonder about that. Let the text equal the value. And then the text equals the text to lowercase but trim. So they're all false. We know that button counter exists. We're so close. This doesn't seem right to me. Like we're reassigning something. We're not. We're just taking the value. So we've got the text. To lowercase and trim. I mean, it should match something, right? Okay, so we know. Well, what happens if we console log this? I mean, is it wrong? So I want to type in and see what actually happens here. Well, it's going to tell me. See, this is why I think it's wrong, because I don't really want a reassignment. I don't really want to reassign it. Let's try this. Okay. So that actually works. So it is doing it is trimming. And it is doing text to lowercase. Okay, so I don't think this is wrong. Whereas if we took this out and we got the value, yeah, okay, so that works. Okay, so that works. We don't have to put all this stuff here. But I am confused about why return const match equals return. I want to just like define this. I wish I could go back and look at my, I wish I could just go back and look at my old code from where I used to work to remember how to see how. I know it would be in there. Yeah, that doesn't work. I can't remember how to do that. I'm going to have to, I think I'm going to have to ask for help again. Okay, so we know that we're getting the text from the input. We're trimming the front and the back. It's all lowercase, and so we know that these lines work. Okay, yay. And then but every time we compare the text against the item, okay, just can I see the text content? I feel like we were able to see the text content. No, okay, hang on, match. Sorry. Let me see the text content of the item. So, oh, it's false because we need to make these two lowercase. That's why it's false. So the item text content to lower case. Oops. Okay, so the console log is working. Let's console log this whole thing. So are we going to see true at any point? Okay, so we are getting a true value. So we're getting 1 true and 4 false. Okay, so if it's okay, so this is good. And as soon as we start to type in a B, we get a true. So let's try typing in a T. So if we type in a T first, I think we're going to see 2 trues and 3 false. So we'll type in a T. Let's clear this. T. 2 true. Oh, maybe it's T H E M E. Okay, we're getting there. We're close. Now it's 5 true because there's nothing. Okay. So now we need to start eliminating things, right? So we've returned these things. Can I use these? I should be able to use these things now, right? I should be able to use what I'm returning. Can I assign it to something? Return. Do I have to do like this? Let match. And then match equals. Why doesn't that work? Okay, this I am going to Google because I need this value. I just don't remember how to do it. I don't remember how to get that value. I feel like if I can just get that value, then I can compare it and eliminate things. Okay, let's see what it says. This JavaScript snippet filters a collection of DOM elements into a new array based on whether their text content includes a specific substring of text. It uses array from to convert a node list into an array, then applies filter with a case insensitive check returning true for matches. Let match equal restores. Okay, the let match assignment is unnecessary overhead. The code can be simplified for better readability. So can I just say return match and then so am I going to see true, false values? Match is not defined. How do I use this information? Or do I have to do everything inside of the filter? Hang on. Array from items, filter items. Do I just do everything inside the filter? Is that it? And then you return everything afterwards? Okay, let's just tidy up a little bit here. So we're getting our true, false values. We're getting our true, false values. And I'm just going to return, I mean, you can also return true and false, right? So we'll just return this for now. Honestly, this would probably just be return true, not the value itself. Yeah, so what if we just say return true to start? And we know that this works because we can console log it. And then maybe we just say const match equals, and then we would actually just console log this. So I would expect to see the same thing happening now, right? So we'll say, yep. So what about the word task? Yep, 4 false, 1 true. Okay, we're going to do everything here. We're just going to do everything right inside here. Oops. I think this is the right way to do it. So we would just want to remove those. We would want to remove anything that doesn't match, right? So if there's no match, so like if the so match is either true or false. So if there's a match, it's true. If there's no match, it's false. So if there's no match, then we would want the item to be removed. Excuse me. Let's see here. So it would just be item remove like that. So does that happen in real time? Is it put back then if it suddenly does? So how do we restore everything? I think we're pretty close. So T H E M E task. Okay. So I don't think it's remove. It's not remove, it's something else. So how are we updating? How are we removing and adding at the same time? Oh, probably not remove, probably just is it maybe instead of remove, is it like hide and show? What's in our list here? Huh, what's this right here? Hiding and showing items. Okay. Hiding and showing items. We're totally doing this. Okay. MDN hide. Is there like a hide method? Hide JavaScript. Okay, so there's a hidden property. So do we just want to do like a hidden attribute? Do we just want to put in like a hidden attribute? MDN hide HTML hidden global attribute. We could just do so if there's no match item set attribute hidden else item remove attribute hidden. No. Failed to execute set attribute on 2 arguments required. See, ChatGPT tried to tell me that an empty attribute was redundant and I didn't need it, and I knew that was wrong. You guys, what the frick? Okay, let's take out our console logs. We totally did it. We totally did this. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Hang on, we'll take out our console logs. We did it. I can't believe I did this. I mean, we needed a little help from Google, right? But Google, this is the perfect use case. This is the absolute perfect use case for AI. Not to do the work for you, but to help, just point you in the right direction, give you a hint, point you in the right direction, explain what's happening, and don't be afraid to use those console logs, man. Just use those console logs. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to return the values. You can return true or false. But you have to return something. That I am remembering now. So, yeah, just don't be afraid to use your console logs, because I think that's like the hardest part of JavaScript, is that sometimes I just don't know what to do because I can't visualize what's even happening step by step. So I think it is a really good best practice to just, as you are beginning, even in the very early stages, defining your query selector and your query selector all, console log that stuff early and often, because if you're not even defining the elements correctly. So you get an array, but it's a node list, and if you don't realize that you're getting a node list when what you need is the text content, then that's why you can't progress. So it's just like the visualization. The console log is just absolutely magical in helping with that. And I will I will forever be grateful. I do see people complaining online about the AI search results in Google. And if you are an SEO specialist who works hard on getting ranked in Google, I can understand why you may not be happy with this new the new format for search results. However, they are the AI version in Google search is so much more precise and helpful than ChatGPT is. Can you imagine the conversations that I would be having with ChatGPT if I asked these questions? Because it's too verbose. It's just too much in ChatGPT, and this is just so much more precise. I don't know why. I love it. It's doing such a good job at teaching. Um, yeah. Okay. This is so cool. This is so cool. Okay. So I love it. This makes me so happy. This makes me so happy. Okay. So now let's do a Okay, so what have we done here? We have input driven filtering. We have a looping array. We have, with a node list, we are comparing normalized strings, hiding and showing items. So boom, we've got all that stuff. And we've done all of our MDN prep items too. So let's do a no results message because we do have that in our markup here. Let's go back here. All right. And I'm also just thinking of all the practical applications of these fun little interactive UI elements and how I can start to do more of this in my static builds, because when we're done with 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, I'm going to go back to building UIs, which is what I love doing and it's what I do best. But I do often think like, oh, I wish my JavaScript skills were better so I could make things more interactive, because I generally don't use an API. Maybe once in a while, I make my own JSON file for like a little pseudo API, but most of the time my content is static. And I have always thought to myself, well, in order to really do that interactive stuff, you have to be using like a JSON file or an API. That is not true. It is just not true. I mean, clearly that's not true. Think of how many more fun little interactive things we could do on those static builds with this little simple library of UI elements that I'm building. So it's so cool. I just think it's so cool. So, okay, so here's our empty state. Which is not here. So let's look at our markup and look at right here, hidden. So let's take this out and let's deal with those attributes in the JavaScript. Yep, we'll deal with those attributes in the JavaScript. So empty, let's just go ahead and I'm gonna put this up here. I don't think we need it down there anymore. So let's just go ahead and right out of the gate, we'll say empty, set attribute, hidden. So we know that that's hidden on page load. There it is. So we're dealing with that. Do we need to do anything with this list? I'm not sure yet. Okay, so empty is hidden by default. So if there's no match, then we want to hide. So how do we check to see if we are hiding individual things and showing individual things, but what if there are no things? So what if all of the items, so we need to get the length of the items, and if they all have the attribute hidden, then we show the empty message, right? So we need to get we need to count the number of items. So I want the item length. So log. I want the item length, but I don't want the string length. I want the property. Stop. What was that? Length. I want the method length. So I want to count the number of items. Do I do it that way, or do I literally just count the items? I'm not sure. Well, nothing's going to happen till I type, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. So I need to get the number of items. I need to do that first. Angela, think. How do I just count the items? Isn't it just, hang on. Maybe we can do that first. Items length is not a function. 5. Okay, so here we're getting the length. That's all I care about. So we've got the length, and we should be able to use that here, right? So if the items So we want to get, we did this yesterday. Where is that? We did this yesterday. We got the toast notification. We did this. Get attribute equals hidden. So if the item get attribute, nope. If the number of items with a hidden attribute equals the item's length. Let's type this out. If the item length, which in this case is 5, equals the number of items with a hidden attribute. That's what we want. So how do I count the number of items with a hidden attribute? Let count equal 1. Item get, I don't know if this is the right way to do this. Item get attribute hidden equals well, it wouldn't equal anything. It would just be hidden. So if an item with the get attribute of hidden, count plus plus if count equals items length empty, remove attribute hidden. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's not quite working though. It just always equals 1. Oh, this maybe probably has to be up here. Why does it always equal 0? So we're not really counting. So we just need to, this is not the right way to do this. We just need to count the number of items. How do I count the number of items with that attribute? I probably just say if item get attribute hidden equals items length, then no, but this is still, this would be, can this be length? We've come so far. We've come so far. This was a good theory. So if the item get attribute hidden, I don't think this is going to work. I need the number of items. Yeah. How do I get the number of items that are hidden? Do I have to for each through? Do I have to for each through the items? I probably have to for each through the items. I bet I have to for each through the items. Yeah. We can do that. For each item. Now we'll say if the item has a get attribute of hidden, because all of that has to happen as the filtering is happening, right? So now we're going to for each through the items, and if the item has an attribute of hidden, then we can to delete this. We're not ready for this yet. We're missing a step here. Items for each item. Now I think we can count. No. Yes. Now I think we can count. Now that we're for eaching through, now I think we can say I want to put it up here. Just let count equal. I still think the count needs to start at 1. If the item has the get attribute of hidden, then we would count plus plus, yes. Now I want to console log the count. Because I think you still have to like for each and count. It still says 1 though. So maybe I do have to put it down here. We're so close. We're so close. Items for each item. If the item has an attribute of hidden, how do I get the number of freaking items with this attribute? So let's just make sure that we're not completely insane. I want to see, yeah, okay, there's an attribute. Can I even get the attribute? Am I even getting the attribute? Let's do that. I want to console log let's do this. Attribute equals item get attribute, item get attribute. This. Okay, forget this. Forget this. Just show me the things that are getting the attribute. That's the problem. Is it because I don't have this? No, we're still null. Okay. Item, get attribute, hidden. Oh, is this, do I need to not, I think these are scoped incorrectly because I'm already using item. How much you want to bet? Oh, it's still null. Okay. What do I need? Maybe I don't need to for each. Maybe we can count this a different way. Let's try this. Let's just use what we already have. Item already exists. So what about this? Can we just can we log the items that are getting the attribute in the filter? We cannot. Interesting. So we're not able to see the things that have the attribute. So maybe this is get attribute a Boolean value? Is that why? Let's refresh our memory. I feel like maybe I'm just using that wrong. Get attribute. Okay, the get attribute method of the element interface returns the value of a specified attribute on the element. If the given attribute does not exist, the value returned will be null. If it doesn't exist, it will be returned null. So do we need to do this? This makes me feel like this would all happen outside of the filter then. Like maybe this has to all happen after it's returned true. So let's take all of this right here. And try just after the filter and see what happens. I feel like this is just a scoping issue. So let's go back to our for each. Because once I can get the number of items that have the attribute, I can show the message. So let's see here. Some stuff I don't need here yet. I'm not worried about the count. Not worried about this. I literally just need to see. I just need to see these things getting logged first. So we're gonna do another for each. So after the filter is all done and we return true, we're gonna for each through the items again, and we're gonna check to see if we can at least log the number of things that have the attribute hidden. Yeah, it's still null. And we know that they are there. We know they're there. So again, this just feels like a scoping issue to me. Like maybe this needs to happen. These things just don't exist yet. So what happens if I just do it here? It's all logging null. H-E-I-D-I. Yeah, it's all just logging. Well, it's logging null on page load because it has to happen inside of the event listener, because it's not happening. It doesn't actually happen until these things get filtered. Which makes me feel like it has to be here. It has to happen here. If it's getting set here, why can't I see it here? That's what I don't. Missing parentheses after argument list. Oh, this again. You again. Okay. Okay. We're going to have to ask for help. Yeah, we're going to have to ask for help. So, this is starting to feel too big to Google. But let's just look at this here and see if this is going to somehow start to make sense. Items or item? Items. We want to loop through the items again. Yeah, because we need an array, right? The array. Oh, well, we have an array of items, so it is items. We're going to loop through the items again. But are we... I feel like maybe it needs to be does it need to be a new array? Maybe this isn't the wrong approach. Maybe if we know the length, the number of items, maybe we just need to say because we know that match is true or false. So maybe this is starting to just feel too complicated. So maybe the better approach is just that we're counting the number of true and false values. So like if everything is true, right? Because if we console log match, so let's do that again. Console log match, then what happens? It is counting. And then, well, what happens if we just console log item? So if we console log the item, we can see the item. Can I console log the item get attribute hidden? No. Why? Why can't I get that? Why can't I get it? I can get item. But I can't get the attribute hidden. Why? Can I count the number of items that have the attribute? I feel like this is supposed to be a simple if statement. Like, if everything is hidden, then can I do this? Do I have to do this after the return? Like, at what point are you going to let me look at that? No, it won't let me. You can't do anything after a return. Like, at what point can I look at the attributes? Yeah, item is not defined. Can I count the number of matches? Why can't I? Why don't I know how to do this? Okay, so let's do this. We just need to ask a couple of really, let's just ask a couple of specific questions here. So here's what I'm going to do. So I am going to Google this. We're going to Google this right here. Because I have this comment here. If the items length 5 equals the number of items with a hidden attribute. Let's do this. How to count the number of match equals true. Right here. I'm going to Google this. Okay. To count the matches while filtering and updating DOM elements, initialize a counter variable outside of array. Okay, let match count equals 0. And this is where you do the match count, right here. And Anokia says, have you considered using an object outside the event listener that stores the array? No, I haven't. An object outside the event listener that stores the array. I have not. I'm not 100%. I think I know what you mean. I haven't. Okay, so this is saying to initialize a counter. Is this what you mean right here? Const items array equals the array from items. Oh, and see, you do have to for each through. So I want to, this is what I want to do. I want to filter and count simultaneously. Okay, right here. Alternative, filter and count simultaneously. So this is not using filter at all. This is just doing a for each with an includes. But this right here, we would say matched items equals our array from items. And then we would say the match equals, okay. So here we're just toggling the attribute, return match, filter keeps only items where match is true. I like this better. We don't have to change our if statement, which I don't really want to do. And then we count the length right here. Okay, I like that. So let's try that. Const matched items. And then this is a match right here. That we already did. Got it. I'm not changing this. We don't have to change that. And then we just return what's true. We return match. And then we can get the matched items length. So we have to do that here. Console log the matched items length. Okay, so now we're getting 0. That's what we want. So what if we have button? Now we're getting 1. Okay, so really it's if, okay, so now we did it. We got it. So we assigned the array to a variable. We're setting our hidden and remove attributes. Okay, it told us a more efficient way to do it, but I'm keeping my way because I like my way and I understand it. But it's totally fair. We're getting the things that match. We're returning the matched items, which is like returning match true, right? Because it's true false. And now we can console log the total length. So if matched items length is equal to 0, no results, then we remove the attribute hidden, right? Okay, else we have to add it again. Else. Oh, maybe here, should we? No, I'm just gonna do my else because I like it. It makes sense to me. Baby steps. There, we did it. Okay. Well, that was an adventure, huh? Yes, I promise I'm going to start using modern methods. I can't use modern methods until I understand the original method. I just, my brain can only do so much. So I understand that this might feel a little verbose to some people. I'm doing my best. Okay. So I don't think we need items length anymore, do we? Okay, what else do we need to do here? I don't even think we're going to need list. I don't think we need the list. So what's the what's the last thing that we're going to do? We're right at 2 hours, so this is not bad at all. A clear search button. I think we can just... So I don't know what category tags means. I'm not sure what that means. I don't care. I'm good with what we did today. But I do want to do a clear search button, which, I mean, this is an input. So how do you, I think you can just clear an input by setting it to an empty, can't you just clear an input by setting it to an empty string? Oh, good. Good. Loves verbosity. That's funny. I need it to be so like explicit and spelled out for me, or I just don't understand. I mean, this is super cool. We got the appropriate amount of help. We didn't we got a lot of stuff explained to us today. I'm learning so much from these exercises. I can't even tell you. So, yeah, this is great. So, should we put a comment here? Show empty message if no matches. We'll say hide list items if not matched. We can say I don't think we need too many comments here. Hide the empty message on page load. Yeah. Okay, so we want to be able to, we want a clear button. So let's just put a button underneath this input. Doesn't need to be fancy. Doesn't need to be fancy. We're just going to call it like a reset button. Yeah. So reset buttons exist, but don't they need to be inside of a form element? We don't have a form element here, so I don't think type reset is going to work, but it doesn't matter because I think on click for the button, you can just clear the input, set it to an empty string, right? We'll try it. Let's see if this works. I don't think that's going to work. Type reset class equals button. Yeah, that doesn't, if this was inside a form element, I think that would work, but I think the whole point of this is that you actually learn how to clear. Yeah, so that works. Kind of. That's interesting. We have to see, but I don't think that that's the point. I don't think that's the point. Whoops. I think the point is that we actually reset the input value back to an empty string on click. That's what I think the point is. Let's close this. Oh, we're so close. Because we can get the value length of what's going on in there, right? So I feel like we do another event listener inside this input event listener. Just guessing. Class button, we can give this an ID of filter. Should we just call it the reset button? Call it the reset button. Wow, this was a good one. I enjoyed this. Okay, so here's our reset button. Now I'm going to do reset, add event listener, click. Text, let text equal an empty string. Whoop. So text is the target's value, and we're just setting that value back to an empty string. Text. So what is it the text value, or is it the text value length equals 0? So the value would be, so I'm just curious, if I console log the length, so we'll say text length, we'll get a number, right? It'll log the number of items, right? Okay, so that's a number. So maybe it's text length equals 0. Does that reset it back? No. Cannot assign to read-only property length. Okay, yeah, read-only is a length. I just want to reset the input. So what's the input? Just maybe it's just input equals 0, or input equals an empty string. Maybe it's just the input equals an empty string. No. Assignment to constant variable. Oh, maybe, so we just do this. I feel like we just reset it back to an empty string, right? How do we do that? Input value. We're gonna get it eventually. There, that was it. Okay, so now we're resetting that back. And then what if I console log this again after we reset it, the input value, we should see a 0, right? or it's just empty because it's an empty string. Okay, we got it. Okay. So now we need to make sure that we're removing all of those attributes, right? So if we're clicking here and clearing this, then we also need to make sure that we are removing the attributes from those items. So does this actually need to happen right here? So I can also do this. Because we need to remove those attributes and show our stuff again, right? Yes. Okay. And we need to make sure that that is also happening. And we need to do this. We need to do... No, we need to add hidden. We need to set the attribute to hidden so we don't have that message. Clear, reset the input and show the list items. What is it? What? You guys, we did this. Wow. What an adventure. And we're just a smudge over 2 hours today too. What do we think? This was crazy. I love it. I love it so much. I'm so into it. I'm so glad that we're doing this. So glad that I'm doing this. Yeah, look at that. And we didn't even need to touch our CSS files today. That's good. Whew, wow. I had just absolutely no clue how to do this. I got up this morning and I started getting ready and I was like, no idea. No idea how to do this. This is so freaking cool. This changes everything. I think about like all the static builds and all the search inputs that, think of all the search inputs that I style, all the search drawers and search inputs, and none of them actually work because in my mind, I'm like, oh, we're not using an API. We're not using a JSON file. You have to have that in order to do search. No, you don't. No, you don't. We can just take the static content that lives on the page, build out a search, right? From the content that it just exists on the page. We could totally be adding that type of interactivity. And now we have this amazing little library of UI elements that are interactive. God, I just freaking love it. Yeah, so into it. Okay, we'll take out our console logs. Just keep things nice and tidy. Get text from input. So yeah, this does have to be down here. Does it? Yeah, I think it has to be down there because it has to come after everything's been returned. Okay, so let's get our section copied over to our UI page, and then we'll get our code updated on the page, and we'll go ahead and deploy, and we'll be done for today. Yes. Look at all the stuff that we've done. Okay, let's check our UI components. Love it. Let's update. What is this, day 7? All right. So now let's ask ChatGPT to do a little bit of formatting for us. Let's see here. I think we can close some of these tabs. Wow, such an adventure. Please format this markup. And then we'll build our section with a class of section, and we'll do an H2 with the class of secondary heading, and this is the HTML. We'll do a pre-block with a code block, and the class is language dash markup. And then here is our formatted code. We're using Prism.js, so you have to do some, what do we call this, encoding to get it to show up correctly. So here's our HTML. Looks good. Looks good. Now we'll ask it to format our JavaScript for Prism. Please format the JavaScript. And we'll do another section with a class of section. And we need an H2 with the class of secondary heading. And this is the JavaScript. We'll do a pre-code block, code with a class of language, JavaScript. We'll copy this in and take a look. Nice. We got ChatGPT really trained with our code formatting. Luckily, huh? Yeah, everything looks good. Yeah, this seems obvious now. This is how we counted this, right? That we just signed it a value and counted it. Yeah, that makes complete sense now. But hey, you kind of have to what it's the fuck around find out method of development, right? You have to spend a little time messing around getting it wrong to sometimes get it right. So, yeah. Just this is I think one of my more satisfying. They've all been awesome. I've loved them all. They're my little babies, but they're getting progressively more complex, and so it kind of also is starting to feel like it's getting just progressively more fun and interesting at the same time. Okay, so let's commit this and then we'll go ahead and deploy it. So we'll do a git status, git add, git commit. So this is the JavaScript for the filterable list. And then we'll push. Yeah, this is exactly what I needed on this channel. This is exactly what I needed. Think of how much better or how much more interesting and fun my static builds will be with these extra little interactive touches. That's honestly what I'm most excited about. Oh, stop. All right, we'll log into our server. All right, so what did we do today? Components, it was day 7, and UI components, and we didn't touch anything in our style. .css. Log out the server. And I'm going to stop live server because I just feel very superstitious about running the local. Anytime I'm checking production for the first time, I just feel weirdly superstitious about having the local server running. So kind of a holdback from my WordPress days. Okay, here's our filterable list. There's our button. Okay. Here's our code blocks. She works. It might have been good to put in some extra things, maybe. I don't know. Extra words, extra list items. It works. Let's check our UI components. Loving the reset button. Loving that reset button. That I actually kind of did remember how to do from my St. Thomas days. Seven days, 7 wins. Thank you. I'm feeling quite pleased with myself. Well, what's the alternative? I mean, what's gonna what? First of all, I've never not completed a task in my entire career. I've never not completed a task. Hey, hold please. And I'm not implying that you're saying that I wouldn't finish something. I'm not implying that at all. It's just that my own personal philosophy is, why wouldn't I finish? So I've never not completed a task. There's no reason for me to not complete a task now. That's how I look at this. So, and I think that everything that we're doing here is is doable well within a 2 to 3 hour period. I think we spent uh 3.5 hours on the tabs component. That's fine. That's still an acceptable amount of time to me. No problem. Um, it's not an option to not finish, especially since none of this is like this is all for fun and practice, right? So there's no reason not to finish. I love it. Everybody, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I just am loving this so much. Again, this is the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. Today was day 7. We are 7 for 7. Come back tomorrow. We're going to do a theme toggle with caching data. We have done that before. We did that on the responsivevideogallery.com site, so that's not new. It doesn't have a ton of JavaScript, a ton of logic at all, and that's code. We're still going to go through the documentation and like learn what the things are, but that's like a click event adding a class to the body, and then it's going to be a fair amount of styling. So we didn't do any CSS today, and that's completely fine. We will be doing a lot of CSS tomorrow because we have essentially a site now with dark backgrounds, and we are rotating through 3 different colors. So we have to just make some design decisions about what we want the light. I think we're starting with dark. We would be toggling to light. That's what I'm thinking. So it's like the opposite of what we did on responsive video gallery, but we also have multiple colors to manage. So there's that. So, but I don't think tomorrow's going to be a JavaScript heavy day. I think it's going to be a CSS heavy day, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And the caching part was not difficult either. And I've got that code tucked away in that repository. So we are not going to reinvent that wheel. So I think tomorrow's going to be a fun day and a little lighter, just a little lighter, not as much problem solving. So come back tomorrow to hang out for day 8 and see that in action. Hey, do me a favor. If you haven't liked the video yet, would you be so kind as to do that? It helps the algorithm. It helps push this. It helps push my content out to more people who are interested in this type of thing. Subscribe if you're not already. If I'm not here every single day, I'm normally here 4 days a week: Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So there's that. Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your day wherever you are. Come back tomorrow for day 8. Bye-bye.